The air in the reclaimed power substation hangs thick with ozone and old coffee, a forgotten hum from the capacitor bank. Dust motes dance in the single neon tube, casting a wound-red glow on the patched console. Below, the city pulses, a low-frequency rumble beneath our feet, a constant reminder of the signal we carry.
Black Star Pirate Radio.
Toronto checks in at 72 degrees and partly cloudy. Wind check, west-northwest at 14 miles an hour. Tonight, we tune into the architecture of our resilience, how we build from the inside out. Our first signal, Congo's Ebola crisis, a test of global health sovereignty.
The Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo has now claimed over 1,000 lives in North Kivu province, mainly among local communities where insecurity and deep-seated distrust continue to hinder aid efforts. The chosen next move by the WHO and Congolese Ministry of Health involves continued mass vaccination efforts with RVSV-Zebov, alongside aggressive contact tracing and safe burials. However, a viable alternative involves a localized, community-led response using traditional healers and established local health workers, integrated with external support to build trust and tailor interventions, rather than solely relying on top-down directives that often meet resistance.
Hold that thread. Next signal. Nicaragua's Congress announces work plan to suspend elections.
This moment reveals the structural choice, the pull between urgent global intervention and the imperative for local autonomy in health responses. The immediate impact falls on Congolese citizens, facing both the disease and the trade-off between rapid aid and sustainable community-driven solutions.
Anansi's custom meters blink, steady and green. Lex stamps a form with calm precision.
The experiment. Design resilient, decentralized response architectures. Picture local health hubs, mapped via Gig Passport's local signal radar, using lesson planner modules for rapid community training. That's building immunity from the ground up, translating the alternative into actionable vectors.
Patching in a caller, the critical thinker. You're on the signal.
With so many lives lost, what concrete action can truly stop this outbreak beyond just vaccinations?
Your question cuts to the core of agency. The path isn't singular. Next, we shift our focus to civic architecture, Nicaragua.
Nicaragua's Congress, controlled by President Daniel Ortega, has announced a work plan to suspend elections, a clear move to consolidate power ahead of the 2021 presidential vote. This shift in Managua follows condemnation from the UN and the US regarding Ortega's authoritarian rule, threatening the democratic process for an estimated 4.7 million registered voters. The chosen next move by the regime is to dismantle the electoral framework. A viable alternative would be to engage in direct, transparent dialogue with opposition parties and civil society to ensure free and fair elections, potentially with international observers, rather than unilaterally altering the electoral calendar.
This reflects a regime's deliberate erosion of the foundational consent that legitimizes governance. The structural choice is between holding power through force and honoring the populace's will. The inherent dignity of individuals still demands a response beyond just official statements.
The civic architecture here isn't just dismantled. It's being repurposed against its own people. So the experiment, citizens can begin documenting abuses, not just for history, but to build a living archive of provenance. Encrypted channels, shared anonymously through a secure Gig Passport matrix room, could map the shift in power. That's how new civic architecture forms.
Caller on the line, speak your truth.
International condemnation. Does that actually change anything for people in Nicaragua, or is it just words?
Your skepticism cuts sharp. Statements are one thing, structural shifts are another. Now, we turn our lens to Australia, where global and local tensions converge. Hold that thread. Next signal. Australia News Live. China hits back at Penny.
China's Foreign Ministry spokesperson has slammed Australian Foreign Minister Penny Wong's recent remarks on regional security, accusing Canberra of megaphone diplomacy and interference in internal affairs. a diplomatic posture that risks trade repercussions for Australia's $180 billion export market to China. Concurrently, in Victoria, over 50,000 public school teachers, represented by the AEU, are due to begin strike action today, affecting hundreds of thousands of students across 1,500 schools due to stalled enterprise agreement negotiations over pay and workload. China's official rebuttal and the AEU's planned industrial action are the current maneuvers. A viable alternative for both scenarios would be immediate, direct, and private high-level negotiations between Canberra and Beijing to de-escalate rhetoric, and between the Victorian government and the AEU for binding arbitration on conditions rather than public confrontation.
This isn't just geopolitical friction or a labor dispute. It's the clash between state-driven narrative control and the collective voice demanding dignity, whether from a nation asserting its sovereignty or a profession seeking fair recompense. The image of a silent classroom or a pointed diplomatic finger tells the story.
Precisely. The experiment here is to translate these tensions into systemic solutions. For diplomacy, that means building secure, back-channel communication protocols that prioritize de-escalation over public posturing. For the teachers, it's about designing a transparent, merit-based negotiation framework that redefines value beyond just budget lines, using a gig passport-enabled Fair Work ledger to track commitments.
We bridge now to the voice from our... Patching in a caller. Go ahead.
So, who actually pays the price when countries trade barbs, or when teachers walk out of classrooms?
Your question lands on the core of accountability. These signals remind us that sovereignty isn't just national, it's personal and structural.
Black Star Pirate Radio.
Continue the signal at TogeeVision.com. Tune in, Sparks and Stories, Gig Passport.